The middle school life Aiko hated the most is filled with constant, annoying bullying. Back then, she couldn't understand if she, as a person, was really that bad, and she felt that it would be nice to find at least one friend, someone who understands her. At one point, she had thought there probably won't be anyone like that until she met one friend. And so the story begins in a classroom where a paper ball is thrown at our female lead. It hits her head and jolts her wide awake. Her classmate tells her that she is going to miss lunch and end up sleeping through the afternoon class. Aiko looks around in surprise and lets out a sigh of relief. She is grateful to her classmates for waking her up, as she would have really slept through the afternoon class. Even though her classmates aren't that great, at least she has started her high school life. Finally, she gets to be in the same school as Risa-chan. She walks down the hallway and spots her friend at the other end. Riz sees her too and says hello before walking over. Aiko apologizes to Riz, telling her that she was just about to come look for her. Riz says she was equally about to start searching for Aiko. She confesses that she noticed our female lead was late today and thought Aiko had run into some trouble. However, she says if nothing is wrong, they should go eat. In the cafeteria, Riz pulls a seat across from Aiko. Then she asks her why she was late and if she was busy. Our female lead tells her that she wasn't busy, but accidentally fell asleep in class, and a friend woke her up. This surprises Riz, who asks Aiko if she has found a friend. Our female lead quickly corrects herself, saying she meant just a classmate. She adds that if someone like her could freely find a friend, that would be nice. She speculates that maybe it's because she always seems like she's seeking attention, and even though she acts normally, people probably think she's pretending to be pitiful. Therefore, no one wants to come near her. Once she realizes she's been talking for so long, she quickly apologizes to Riz and tells her not to mind her rambling. She adds that she still has Riz, the only close friend she has had since middle school, and even though they're only a year apart, she finds it isn't lonely at all. Suddenly, Riz speaks up, saying she has a good idea, and then asks Aiko if she's free after lunch. Our female lead says she's free, and asks her friend what the issue is. Riz then proposes that they go to the gym, saying she'll teach Aiko how to play basketball and just wants her to try something different and not think too much. Our female lead seems to have doubts. She feels like playing basketball wouldn't suit her at all. However, after lunch, Riz grabs her arm and pulls her toward the gym. Aiko starts to tell her that she really doesn't know how to play, but her friend insists she's not asking her to play seriously. Yet, Aiko still believes it's not okay, but Riz assures her that it's fine. As they get closer to the gym, they run into some students lounging in the hallway. One of them calls out to Aiko and Risa-chan in a mocking tone, asking Riz where she's taking her little sister to play today. Aiko quickly tells her friend not to mind these people and that they should walk away. However, another boy decides to join in, asking Riz if it's not a waste of time being a babysitter for Aiko. He points out that Aiko is always clinging to Risa-chan pitifully, which makes her seem annoying, so Riz should leave her alone. As an afterthought, the boy adds that Riz being close to Aiko might mean that they are both already involved with each other, and that it's disgusting. Riz snaps and approaches the boy, pulling him by his collar and screaming at him to shut up. She raises her hand to punch him and asks if he thinks it looks fun to insult people like that. With a smile on his face, the boy says if Riz is already getting so defensive, then maybe it's true that she's involved with Aiko. She threatens to punch him for real, and Aiko begs her not to do it, saying she doesn't want them to get into trouble with these bullies. Riz turns away upset, and the boy calls them cowards. Because of Aiko, she decides to leave it. But then she flings the boy into a nearby flower hedge and announces that for her friend's sake, she will let him go. However, next time they mess with her again, she won't let it slide. Then she turns away, calling for Aiko to join her. Aiko apologizes to her and tells her to forget about what just happened. The bullies behind them watch as the girl comments that she thinks Riz and Aiko are getting more annoying every day. The boy stuck in the flower hedge calls out for his friends to help him out, complaining and asking them why they are standing around for so long. The girl tells the boys that being so weak in front of girls makes them a useless bunch. Eventually, they arrive at the gym. Riz picks up a basketball and tells Aiko that she is ready to teach her how to play. Our female lead asks her if she is sure, insisting that she really doesn't know how to play at all. Riz tells Aiko that she's in the basketball club and therefore there are no worries because she is here for her. She then tells Aiko to just try tossing the ball around first. Our female lead decides that she'll give it a try, inwardly telling herself to think of it as something to pass the time. Suddenly, a sound from the other end distracts her, and she sees two male students playing. One is blonde and the other has jet black hair. The one with blonde hair performs a complex maneuver before tossing the ball into the hoop. Aiko watches him with wide eyes, and all she can think about is how cool he looks. The boy with black hair tells his friend that he finds it annoying that he lost to him again. They gather around a girl to take a break, and Aiko continues to watch. Riz notices and asks her if she's okay, but our female lead doesn't even hear her. Our female lead is watching the boys so intently that she doesn't even realize when the ball drops from her hands. Riz jolts her from behind with a hug and tells her that she knows she has been secretly watching those two seniors. Our female lead's face heats up as Riz asks her to tell her which one she likes. She turns to watch the boys, wondering which one is Aiko's type. She asks her friend if she prefers blonde hair or black hair. She claims that they are all handsome. Aiko watches for a while, transfixed, before snapping back to reality. She asks Riz what she is talking about and denies liking anyone. She says she was just spacing out, not falling for anyone so easily. Inwardly, she wishes she could just leave this place like this. Riz hurriedly apologizes and says she was just joking. Aiko feels bad that she can't tell her friend the truth. At the other end, Ryu, the blonde guy, and his friends are seated, enjoying their break. His friend asks him if he wants to play basketball one more round because there are still about 20 minutes left before class starts. He says he doesn't want to waste time sitting and waiting, plus, he hates losing to Ryu after just one round. Their female friend speaks up for the first time. She tells the boy with black hair that Ryu is tired and doesn't want to play with a loser like him. He looks at her and inwardly wonders what is wrong with her. She continues speaking, saying she is tired of waiting too, and that basketball is really boring. Then she adds that she would head back to the classroom with Ryu, and if the boy with black hair wants to play, he can go ahead and stay here alone. Ryu gets up suddenly and says he will play one more game then. He claims he's not in a hurry to go back yet, and their female friend looks at him in disbelief. Our female lead is still watching them from where she's seated when Rischan's voice brings her back to reality. Riz asks Aiko if something is bothering her because she has been quiet for a while now. Our female lead stutters, trying to find the right words. She says nothing is wrong and that she was just thinking about something because everyone here seems to be having so much fun playing. She adds that even though she can't play like everyone else, just sitting and chilling like this is nice. It's a good change of pace from the classroom, she says. Suddenly, two seniors walk in, and one of them calls out to Riz. The one in the gray shirt says it's a coincidence to meet her here, and asks if she is free and could spare a moment to talk. Riz and Aiko both watch the seniors with confused looks on their faces before Aiko asks who those people are. Riz says they are seniors from the basketball club. She then explains to our female lead that she needs to talk to them for a bit. She tells her to find something to do in the meantime, promising she will be right back. The senior in the gray shirt asks Riz if she will be free after school today, and she tells him that she would be. He then informs her that there will be a club meeting and that he would like her to attend. As the conversation goes on, our female lead sits alone, lost in her thoughts. She feels like her friend Riz is really different from her. The school year has just started, yet Riz already has a club and knows a lot of people. Aiko feels bad for herself, wondering why she can't approach other people like that. While her friend discusses business, she decides she will try playing a bit, because what else can she do in the meantime? She walks closer to the basketball hoop and then realizes just how tall it is. However, she braces herself and throws the ball, hoping it will enter the hoop. As she watches the ball bounce off the wall, she tells herself that she knew there was no way she could ever make a shot in this lifetime. Suddenly, a voice calls out to her from behind, shouting for her to watch out. Aiko turns around to see a basketball flying towards her. She is confused for a moment before she realizes that the ball is going to hit her. However, the blonde-haired senior from earlier dashes in front of her and catches the ball. This startles her, causing her to crash to the ground. Everybody in the gym hears the sound, and people begin to turn around, wondering what happened. Aiko finds herself pinned to the ground under Ryu, the blonde-haired senior. When she realizes just how close they are, her face heats up. In return, Ryu looks at her wordlessly. A voice calls out from behind, asking if both of them are okay. They turn around to see the dark-haired boy. Aiko says that she's fine, just a little pain in her arm. The boy says it's good that she's okay, but he asks if she's genuinely all right. What? He apologizes as he explains that it was his bad throw and he'll be more careful next time. Aiko insists that she's fine. However, the boy seems unsatisfied. He asks her if she is hurt anywhere, then he offers to help her up. Our female lead insists again that she's fine and she can get up on her own. She then thanks him for his concerns. In response, the boy says he'll take his leave if she is okay. As Aiko gets lost in her thought, she thinks about how she made eye contact with the blonde-haired senior and how close they had been. At the other end of the gym, some girls whisper among themselves. One of them asks the others if they saw what transpired, and the other girls mimics the dark-haired boy offering Aiko help. Riz finally rushes over. She asks Aiko if she's okay and explains that she heard the noise and rushed over. Our female lead says it's nothing much and that it was just a small accident caused by her clumsiness. Riz offers her a hand to help her up. Then she tells Aiko that she can't leave her alone for a moment because something always happens when she's by herself. Suddenly, Aiko looks down and notices a phone. She picks it up and realizes that it must be Ryu's phone from earlier. He must have dropped it while helping her. In the next scene, we see Ryu's female friend sitting and looking bored out of her mind. She asks the guys when they will be going back to the classroom because their next teacher is very strict. Inwardly, she complains that all they do is smoke. She tells the boys that if they are late, they will be punished by standing in front of the class for the entire period. Suddenly, Ryu asks her if she took his phone, and she looks at him in disbelief. She asks him if he is crazy and tells him that she didn't take his phone. She is annoyed that Ryu thinks she stole it. The blonde-haired boy points out that she has hidden it before, and if it wasn't her who took the phone, then who did? The girl says she did hide his phone once, but not this time. She tells him that if he doesn't believe her, then he can ask Cho, their mutual friend. The black-haired boy, Cho, asks Ryu if he didn't take it out while they were playing at the gym. He muses that it might have fallen while they were playing basketball. The girl is grateful to Cho for having her back and points out that they saw Ryu with the phone, and if it's lost, it's because he was clumsy. The blonde-haired boy looks at her suspiciously and then turns away. She asks him where he is going, and when she realizes he is leaving, she tells him not to go back to the gym because it's almost class time. He says he's going back to the gym, telling her to stop bothering him. Eventually, it turns out that Cho and their female friend followed Ryu to the gym. They have been searching for the phone for a while, and he takes them to a spot where he thinks the phone should be. Their female friend tells him to forget about the phone, and since his dad is rich, he can just ask for money to buy a new one. She adds that she doesn't want to be late because of Ryu's nonsense. Finally, she decides that she's going back to class and the boys can look for the phone. She definitely doesn't want to be punished. Cho watches her go, then turns to his friend and asks him what he will do since everyone else is going back to class. Ryu decides he will forget the phone and go back to class too. Just then, Aiko calls out to them by shouting, "Senior!" The boys turn back to look at her, and she gets flustered at the look on Ryu's face. As she searches for the phone in her pocket, she asks him if it belongs to him because she found it when he helped her earlier. In her excitement, it takes her several moments to bring out the phone, but finally she gets it and hands it over to the blonde. While avoiding eye contact, she thanks him for helping her back then, saying that she would have been in trouble without him. In response, he just snatches the phone from her hands, and she looks up at him in surprise, finally making eye contact. She wonders if she did something to upset him as she tries to understand why he is looking at her like that. He turns away and begins to walk off, and Cho asks him if he wouldn't even say thank you. Then he turns to Aiko and tells her that his friend is always like this, so she shouldn't mind him. Furthermore, he tells her that they are heading back to class and thanks her on Ryu's behalf. Aiko says it's okay. However, she feels so bad because whatever she does, it feels like people hate her for no reason. Riz pops up behind her and tells her that she is such a good kid for returning the phone to its owner. However, she says they have to leave or they will be late to class. This brings a smile to Aiko's face, and she thinks to herself that there is no point in overthinking it. In the next scene, we see Cho, Ryu, and their female friend seated in the classroom as the teacher writes equations on the blackboard. The teacher announces that he would review the formulas and randomly ask questions at the end to involve the students. We finally get to know the girl's name when Cho calls her Mami. He tells her to pay attention in class and stop playing with her phone. Mami, on her part, is hiding her phone behind a raised notebook. She asks Cho why he is bothering her because there are many students and the teacher won't randomly ask someone like her. Cho tells her that he is more worried about the teacher catching her and confiscating her phone. Mami says she is not like some people who lose their phones and freak out, and then she throws a mocking glance in Ryu's direction. He looks at her for a moment, and then suddenly he calls the teacher's attention while the man is writing on the chalkboard. He tells the teacher that Mami is not paying attention and is playing with her phone in class. Mami's eyes widen as the teacher and the entire class turn back to look at her. She tries to explain herself and discredit Ryu's statement. She insists that her friend is lying about her. However, the teacher tells her that she shouldn't make excuses because he saw her playing with her phone. He says that after class, she will need to collect her classmates' worksheets and hand them into the teacher's lounge. After class, we see Mami with a stack of her classmates' worksheets. She finds the situation annoying and feels like the boys here are useless. She wishes she had a female friend instead of those idiots. As she walks the hallway, two boys approach from the opposite end. The first boy says they have to hurry up and get to the game center before it gets full. The other boy calls out for his friend to wait for him, and they both dash past Mami. In the process, one of them bumps her shoulder, and the worksheets come tumbling to the ground. She shouts after the boy, asking what his problem is, but he doesn't even slow down. Feeling absolutely upset, she screams that boys at the school are all useless. At the other end of the hallway, we see Aiko with her backpack scrolling through her phone. Since Riz-chan has club activity again today, it turns out that she will be shopping alone. As she walks, she runs into Mami and sees her on her knees, trying to gather the worksheets together. The girl is complaining about how much her situation sucks, muttering to herself and looking like she's on the brink of tears. Aiko stares at her, and a look of pity crosses her face. As Aiko watches Mami struggle with the worksheets, she bends down to join her on the floor and tells her that she will assist in gathering the scattered sheets. She picks up one of the worksheets and takes a proper look at it. She notices that it is a second-year homework document and that the questions look difficult. She realizes that they must be in the same class as Riz-chan. As Mami continues to stack the worksheets, she looks at Aiko and thinks that the girl is really kind. Then she tells her thank you. Aiko responds that it's nothing really, just a small thing. She hands Mami all the worksheets she has picked up, and Mami asks her for her name. Aiko looks at her in confusion, prompting Mami to point out that she looks like a first year. As realization dawns on her, Aiko tells Mami her name. Just then, Mami's phone begins to ring, and she pulls it out, looking annoyed when she sees who is calling. It is Ryu. From the other end of the line, his voice comes through as he asks Mami what she is doing and adds that she is too slow. Aiko looks away awkwardly, then gets up, saying that she has to leave now. As she begins to walk away, Mami calls out to her to hold on. Aiko turns back, but Mami checks her phone in annoyance because Ryu is calling at the worst time. Aiko realizes that she almost forgot she has to go shopping, so she checks her phone for the time. It's 10 minutes to 6, and she decides she needs to hurry before it gets too late. At the shopping center, our female lead looks around at various shelves, wondering if there is anything else she needs to buy. She knows that if she forgets anything, she won't have time to come back, and the mall is far from her dorm. She takes a look at all the items she has gathered and decides she must have bought everything she needs. At the counter, her bill sums up to 1,850 yen. As she looks at her receipt, she notices that it is more expensive than she had thought, and realizes there should be a discount. She turns and walks away, calculating that she didn't expect to spend this much today. She decides she will have to settle for a discounted bento for dinner. At a Japanese restaurant, we see Cho and his friends. He is telling Mami that her mood changes so quickly. Earlier, she was upset about Ryu calling her. Mami replies that things are different now because she is eating delicious food. Her eyes widen when she spots Aiko and realizes that she is the girl from earlier who had helped her with the worksheets. Cho notices the look on her face and asks what the problem is. Mami gets up, abandoning her food, and Cho looks extremely worried as he asks her where she is going. She simply tells him that she will be right back. She walks all the way to Aiko and taps her on the shoulder. Our female lead turns around and looks startled to see the senior. Mami asks her if she remembers her from earlier when she picked up documents. Aiko replies that she does remember her. Mami says that she was unable to get her name and would like to thank her once again. Furthermore, she asks our female lead if she is free to have a meal together, promising to treat her. Aiko feels embarrassed and asks Mami if that's okay. The senior girl says she is having a meal with a friend nearby and that Aiko shouldn't worry about it. Then she proceeds to bring her to the table, where she announces to the boys that she has a guest today. She tells them to move inside the booth and make room for Aiko. As our female lead takes a seat, she comes face to face with the blonde boy and wonders if he is the friend that Mami mentioned earlier. She feels so unprepared to be sitting right across from him. Mami notices her looking flustered and asks if something is wrong and if Aiko is uncomfortable. Our female lead says everything is fine. Cho speaks up for the first time since her arrival, asking Aiko if she is the one who found the phone at the gym. She replies that that was her. He says it's a coincidence and introduces himself as Nishida Cho, a second year in Class A, adding that it's nice to meet her. Mami takes the initiative to introduce herself as well, mentioning that she is also in Class A. Then everybody turns to look at Ryu for an introduction. However, he keeps his face casual and deliberately looks away. This annoys Mami, and she asks him if he isn't going to say anything or even try to act polite. When he doesn't respond, she calls him a really rude boy and tells him to show some manners. Even Cho looks uncomfortable as he asks his friend if he's seriously going to stay quiet. Finally, the blonde boy decides to speak. Without turning his face, he gives his first and last name. Nothing more. Aiko is impressed that he finally spoke. She introduces herself as Aiko Kasugawa, a first year in Class B, and says it's nice to meet them all. She mentally notes that Ryu always looks at her with such cold eyes. She has no idea what he thinks of her. Cho says that Aiko shouldn't be surprised about having the same last name. Then he explains that he is cousins with Ryu. She asks if they are the same age, and he replies that even if they are in the same grade, it doesn't mean they are the same age. He adds that Ryu is actually older than they are. However, they have been close since they were kids, so age doesn't matter. Cho mentions that he never thought Aiko would be the one to help Mami with her documents, explaining that she had just told him about it. Then he asks her why she is shopping alone today. Aiko responds that her friends are busy, so she had to come alone. She thanks Mami for inviting her to lunch, as she had earlier thought she would have to settle for a discounted lunch. Mami tells her that it's no problem and adds that she is not used to being called senpai. She tells Aiko to just call her by her name. Aiko asks if that is really okay, and the senior girl confirms she would prefer if they called each other like friends. Cho joins the conversation, saying that being called senpai makes him feel older. and he can't handle it. Mami tells him to shut up, and Aiko looks at her in surprise. Cho insists he was just kidding and asks her why she is acting so defensive. As they exchange words, Aiko returns her attention to Ryu. She feels that no matter what anyone says, he just sits quietly and doesn't care about others. She watches his cold blue eyes and thinks about how hard he is to approach. Mami's voice snaps her back to reality as the senior girl asks if she'd like to walk around a bit more after lunch. She adds that there is a new bubble tea place she wants to try. Aiko replies that she can't stay out late because her dorm is far from the city center, and she is unfamiliar with the area after dark. Mami sympathizes, saying it must be tough and that it's not safe for a girl to go back alone. She offers to drive Aiko back, stating that since she invited her out, she would take responsibility for getting her back safely. Cho agrees, emphasizing that it's dangerous to travel alone, and he offers to take her to her dorm. Aiko looks at him, lost for words, and Mami assures her that Cho is harmless. She insists it's okay for him to take her back, since it would be tough for her to go alone. Finally, Aiko agrees and thanks them. Although she doesn't want to stay out late, she realizes it's already too late, so she decides to enjoy spending more time with the seniors. As she chews her food, she realizes how good it tastes. After finishing, Mami asks Aiko if she isn't going to order anything else. However, Aiko politely declines, saying she is already full. Mami looks sad for a moment and asks if she really is the only one who likes bubble tea. She lets out a defeated sigh. Suddenly, Cho notices the extra baggage Aiko is carrying. He asks if the things she has are heavy and offers to help. However, Aiko insists it's fine and that she can manage, then she thanks him. She realizes just how kind Cho is. Mami encourages Aiko to allow Cho to carry her things, explaining that if he weren't there, she would have to carry them by herself because Ryu has no manners. Aiko looks away in disbelief and asks if Ryu is that bad. Mami tells her that Ryu may look approachable, but she shouldn't trust his looks. She explains that he is actually the opposite on the inside and is not someone she would want to associate with. She warns Aiko not to be fooled by his handsome face. Finally, Ryu decides to speak up. He tells Mami that he can hear her, and if she is just going to keep saying bad things, it would be better for her to keep her mouth shut. Then he turns to Cho and asks him to stop Mami from saying such nasty things. Cho shrugs and says the girl just talks a lot. Mami, however, insists she is just being honest and bursts into laughter. Caught in the middle of all this, Aiko wonders what kind of friendship they all have. Mami's bubble tea order is finally ready, and she excitedly grabs it. Aiko thinks to herself that although Mami says Ryu is not someone to befriend, that might just be her perspective since they have been friends since childhood. She feels like he is someone worth getting to know, and if she gets to know him better, she wonders if he will still be cold to her like he was today. Mami asks Aiko if something is wrong, as she points out that our female lead has been staring at the claw machine. Aiko quickly clears the air and says nothing is wrong, she just thought the plushies looked cute. Mami asks her if she wants one, then calls Cho to come over and win a plushie for Aiko. She says she will pay for the coins. All Aiko did was look for a moment, and now they think she wants a plushie. However, she doesn't say anything. She simply steps aside to allow Cho to work the machine. He says he is not good with these machines, but will give it a try. Mami tells him to pick the cute one right over there. As the claw machine grabs the plushie, the girls get excited as they wait for it to pull. However, it drops back into the heap, and Mami screams in frustration because they lost it. Cho looks apologetic, and Mami says they should try again. Just then, Ryu walks forward and tells them to move aside because they are wasting time. Mami tells him that he didn't have to push so hard, and he replies that they can't even win a plushie from a silly machine. Cho tells everyone to calm down, and Aiko watches him as he works the machine and successfully gets the plushie. Mami grabs it and thanks Ryu, saying that she didn't know he was good at this machine. She had thought he was just good looking. Then she hands the plushie over to Aiko, even though she didn't win it herself. Our female lead thanks her, and Mami suggests that they all head back now because it's getting dark. As Aiko stares at the plushie, she remembers that back then, Ryu must have thought it was a waste of time and spoke harshly to everyone. But even so, he still went out of his way to win the plushie for her. Suddenly, Mami kicks her foot and trips, splashing bubble tea all over herself. She begins to cry that the bubble tea spilled on her and now she's all sticky. Aiko suggests they find the bathroom to clean up, and Mami starts to throw a tantrum, asking someone to take her to the bathroom because she doesn't know the way. Cho offers to take her and tells her that she is really clumsy. Mami then tells Aiko to stay with Ryu while she and Cho go to the bathroom. She collects the extra baggage from Cho and hands it to Aiko, telling her to carry it by herself for now. Our female lead agrees and is then left alone with the cold, blue-eyed blondie. Right now, our female lead is alone with this senior, and the atmosphere is so quiet that even though they are together, it feels awkward and tense. On top of that, he's just playing with his phone all the time, and she doesn't know how to approach him. It's as if he's avoiding talking to her no matter what. She feels that if she continues to keep silent like this, it will ruin the atmosphere, so she knows she has to make the first move. She starts to thank him for holding the plushie, only to turn and realize that he's gone. She sees him walking away and asks where he is going. He keeps walking without turning back, and she watches him make his way to the elevator. She wonders if he's going to take the lift, and she is torn between going with him or waiting for Senior Cho and Mami right here. She ponders what she should do. Ryu gets into the elevator and tells her that his friends chatted and asked him to wait downstairs. He asks if she's coming or not, and then she steps into the elevator, glad that the decision has been made for her. She is lost in thought, reflecting on how they went downstairs without saying anything from the beginning. On the 4th floor, the elevator opens to let in other people, and Ryu pulls Aiko back by her backpack. He tells her to stop standing in place, as there are others waiting to enter the elevator. She snaps back to reality. She looks up at him, embarrassed, as her face heats up. She apologizes and gazes into his cold eyes before looking away. It seems that Aiko has done it again. Once she looks down, she feels small. She wonders why people have to come in now, especially since her body is so close to Ryu's. However, he appears unfazed. He wears a fragrance similar to that of an adult. Once they get down from the elevator, they sit on a bench, and Aiko rummages through her bag searching for something. She finds the plushie and thanks Ryu for helping her retrieve it. He doesn't bother to reply, and she wonders if he is teasing her. Just then, a woman approaches them and says hello to our female lead. She mentions that she has just opened a new branch of her beauty clinic and that there are promotions offering reduced prices. She explains the various services available, including facial maintenance, skincare, hair care, and many others, and asks Aiko if it is all right for her to distribute flyers in case she would want to invite her lover seated beside her. Our female lead gets flustered at the woman's suggestion and throws out several awkward responses. The woman looks disappointed and asks Aiko if she wouldn't at least accept the flyer. Aiko tells her no, and the woman reluctantly hands her the flyer. Before leaving, she whispers to Aiko that Ryu looks like a model and that she's lucky to have him. Aiko chances a glance at him, and when he notices her watching, he remarks that she has been acting crazy about that stuff since then. She looks away and denies it, but inwardly she feels the urge to look at him again, accidentally peeking without him knowing. She doesn't like the atmosphere at all, just sitting quietly. It feels wrong. Just then, Cho and Mami show up. The senior girl apologizes for making them wait for so long, and Cho tells her to just keep flipping her shirt so the droplets will come off. Mami adds that it's her favorite shirt, and Ryu asks if they can go back now. Mami apologizes and suggests they all go back together. At school the next day, we see Riz and Aiko walking together. Riz apologizes for not helping our female lead carry her things the previous day. Aiko says it's fine and that Riz can help carry her things next time. Suddenly, the older girl notices the plushie attached to Aiko's bag and mentions that it doesn't look familiar. She asks our female lead if she really went shopping yesterday. With a pleased smile on her face, Aiko confirms that she did go shopping but stopped by somewhere as well. Riz asks her what she stopped by for, and Aiko playfully says she won't tell even if Riz pays her. Riz pretends to be angry and in mock indignation asks Aiko if she's hiding secrets from her best friend now. In response, our female lead bursts out laughing. Mentally, Aiko calculates that since Riz is in Year 2, Class B, and the seniors like Mami are in Class A, then the classes must be next to each other. This way, she decides that she will be able to visit the seniors' classrooms and maybe even see Senior Ryu there too. Riz notices her friend's dazed expression and asks if she's all right since she hasn't been responding. Our female lead says she's fine and was just wondering if she could visit Riz during lunch. The senior girl responds that she's free during lunch and doesn't have any tough classes. Excitedly, Aiko decides they will meet at lunch. Later in the day, we catch a glimpse of Class 2A. The students are on break, and Mami finds the day extremely boring and hot. She's been scrolling through her feed all day, so there is nothing new to see. Cho is doing homework, being the diligent student. This annoys Mami because he is wearing headphones and can't hear her calling him. Meanwhile, Ryu sits quietly, refusing to engage no matter what. Mami begins to wonder how she ended up being friends with these two. She longs to see Aiko again and wishes she had asked for her chat ID earlier. It would have made things much easier. Just then, Ryu stands up, prompting Mami to ask him where he's going. He replies that he's going to smoke. She then asks him to bring her some snacks too, saying chocolate sticks or strawberry jelly would be fine. Ryu responds that he's not taking orders from anyone, and if Mami wants something, she should get it herself. She screams after him, demanding he repeat what he just said. Finally, she scoffs and tells him to remember what he just said, warning that he shouldn't come asking for her help next time. She's upset that he can't even do her a small favor. In the hallways, a classmate clings to Ryu's arm, asking him where he's going and pleading with him to stay and chat for a bit. The girl says they barely get to sit next to each other, and she wants to get closer to him. He pushes her away and snatches back his arm, telling her he has nothing to talk about with someone like her. Frustrated, she realizes that it's always like this. She wants to know what kind of girl Ryu likes since he continues to play hard to get. The hottest girl in school sits right next to him, and he ignores her. She wonders if he likes girls who flirt more. Her friend suggests that she could try flirting with Cho instead, arguing that he isn't as difficult as Ryu. The girl acknowledges that Cho is handsome, but states that she doesn't like boring guys like that. They are just not exciting. Compared to Ryu, who has much better taste, she claims they should leave boring guys like Cho to Mami. Back in the classroom, we see Cho's notebook, revealing that he has been sketching a pretty girl. In the hallway, the other girl mentions that if she messes with Cho, Mami would definitely complain. Back in Aiko's classroom, she has just finished her morning homework and decides it's time to rest her hand. Riz is probably waiting for her, likely having been for a while now. Aiko thinks it would be better to take Riz to meet Mami and the others, since the rooms are next to each other. Finally, she feels she has made friends at school. The people here aren't as bad as she thought. Perhaps she has been overthinking things by believing she couldn't get along with anyone. As she walks through the hallway, she runs into some students and accidentally bumps into one of them. He harshly tells her to watch where she's going. Aiko apologizes, saying she didn't mean to, and the boy recognizes her as the girl from the day before, the one Riz had threatened to punch and thrown aside. He asks Aiko where her loudmouthed friend is, and our female lead breaks out in a cold sweat. The boy points out that they are usually inseparable and asks if they had a fight. His companions burst out laughing, and the boy remarks that if Riz were there, it would be great because he could get his revenge, as she had really gotten on his nerves the day before. Trying to avoid trouble, Aiko begins to walk away. However, the boy grabs her arm and asks where she's rushing off to, stating that he won't let her go that easily. In annoyance, Aiko tells the boy to let go of her and calls him an idiot. Then, she screams for someone to help her. One of the boy's companions grabs her from behind and covers her mouth, telling her to shut up. Then, he pulls out a blade and threatens her. He warns that if she doesn't want to get hurt, she should do as he says, and then extends the blade. He mentions that since they've run into each other, it would be nice for them to have a little talk. Afterward, he would let her go. He adds that once he pulls his hand away, Aiko shouldn't scream because he can't guarantee what will happen if she does. As he lowers his hand, Aiko's eyes widen in panic, but she clamps her mouth shut. The boy calls her an obedient little lamb and suggests they find a more comfortable place to talk. He drapes his hand around her shoulder, and his friend comments that up close, Aiko is pretty cute and that she smells nice too. One of their companions advises him not to scare the girl like that, but the boy replies that he was just joking. Another boy points out that Aiko is trembling with fear, and they all burst out laughing. The boys walk her over to the girl from earlier, who is puffing on a cigarette. One of them announces that he has brought a newbie. The girl smiles cruelly and asks the boy how he managed to pull it off. He replies that he just happened to run into her while she was walking, all alone like this. He comments that it's really pitiful. Meanwhile, we see Ryu at the other end, having a smoke. He tells the girl and her crew to give it a rest, and then asks if they are looking to try something new. Enjoying this manhwa so far? Comment Aiko below if you want to see part 2. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, ciao!